Barker,
Hats off. Hats
Barker, you
off
brought
to
up a
you.
couple good points. Number one, I'm kind of looking at the Kirk Cousins situation. This is why the Vikings didn't want him, because he's not a good teacher. They don't want him nowhere near J.J. McCarthy. He's already bad enough. They don't need to make him any worse. So I think that's some of what you look. And when you look at Kirk Cousins, possibly this is a good move because, again, you're talking about a guy that is basically going to fit in. He's going to be steady. He don't mind getting hit. You know what I'm saying? He's not afraid of the blitz. So that's a good thing from that standpoint. But if you also look at how he played most recently, even last year, he can't throw the ball down the field anymore.
Mm.
He don't have no zip on the ball. So you got to be on time. And you talking about a team with no offensive line really, to the point Ashton Genty could not get off last season.
Ugh.
He basically was bottled up the whole time, and the only outlet you got is Brock Bowers. So yes, I don't want my rookie quarterback getting his head took off like that.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I think we're missing in that whole equation. I think it opens up, if no matter how you look at Kurt, you understand that he's not afraid of the blitz and he knows how to get the ball out. I think it opens up for Asher Genty. That's what I think it does.
Okay.
He won't be looking at an 8-man box anymore. They're gonna have to respect Kurt's arm until they don't respect it anymore. But it's a way to start the season off, because once again, having Mendoza back there with Genty is not really how you want to start the season off. I think Kurt brings some type of respectability to that offense, and at the end of the day, you can go to Bowers. Bowers can be his the word
The
I'm looking
release
for.
now.
Bowers can
Security
be his.
blanket.
Yes, good. Thank you.
Yeah.
Now,
Hey,
I will
Mike.
say this. I do want to add this. They did sign Tyler Lindenbaum, a veteran, well-respected center that's going to anchor that line. And I tell you, as an offensive lineman, I can tell you, shout out to all the old linemen in the trenches. Shout out my boy CL, the old linemen in the trenches. When you got one guy that can anchor your line, especially at center, sometimes that can be the difference between your line looking good, playing good, and looking bad, all off of, making sure that there's good communication, great
Right.
calls. When you got a good center, he can double team that 3 tech and move him and get space or a seam for somebody like Genty. Genty's a very special player. There's no question about that. And so you give him one good offensive lineman, and that might make a big difference in the line. So there is that. But I'm interested in the rest of what they do offseason wise, because in return, they haven't done much adding to their offense. And so you've got the one weapon
that's the
to throw
problem.
to. Yeah.
That's the problem. I agree with you as far as what you're saying with the center. But here's the thing. All that's going to happen is now all the pressure's coming off the edges. It's just not coming up front anymore. That's all. They're not bull rushing you up front. The pressure come off the edges. And expert, you had told us that Geno Smith was washed up. And we've been sitting here wondering what they was going to do. Now they, rolled Geno up out of there. You was a big Kirk Cousins guy while he was here, man. What you think about this?
Well, I was a big Kirk Cousins guy because I was against Penix.
Here we
So
go.
of course,
Here we go.
I'm a pick.
Hold on. Before you go off on your weekly tirade of Michael Penix, I'm gonna ask either one of y'all. If you was a GM, can you give up on the 8th pick of the draft after 14 games in a year and a half? Can you really do that? Knowing that basically this season you could have went to the playoffs. You lost 3 games because of kicking.
Let me start here first, KP. I'll be honest and tell you that you can give up on the 8th pick of the draft when the 8th pick of the draft shouldn't have been a quarterback. When you just gave Kirk Cousins
180 million.
Look, it's not my fault that CL sent an imposter over here, man. He sent Terry Fontenot over here.
Terry Fontenot is a Trojan horse that came over from the New Orleans Saints, and he set y'all up perfectly the way he was supposed to. And to answer your question, I think you can move on from the 8th pick overall, because at the end of the day, a first round contract is a first round contract. Maybe somebody else is stupid enough to try to give him a chance to take him off his hands.